Alright man, I'm going to open up this video with a disclaimer right from the very get-go, and that is simply that don't build all of these champs, okay? While a lot of champs that we're going to cover on this hardest hitting epic champs list are really, really awesome, and you might want to take them up to max level as a result and really, really build them out, and that's great. There are a few of them that are really just memes. So hey man, you've been warned, okay? Now, it's going to be pretty obvious which those absolute meme champs are, but Fenax, aka Nubs, is not one of them. Dude, we gotta spotlight this guy as one of the hardest hitting epic champs for one very, very unique reason. So Fenax's A1 attacks one enemy, placing an extra hit if the target has any debuffs. It also is a block revive on the A1, which is obviously very, very nice. On the A2, it's an attack all enemies with a 100% chance bugs you're placing a block buffs debuff for a couple of turns. Great into Arena, great into Hydra, right? Very, very lovely. A few extra additional effects there as well that I won't read into. And the A3 is a single target hitter with only a 60% chance, albeit replacing decreased defense and decreased speed debuff for a couple of turns on a single target. So why is Fenax on this list? Dude, his A1, I think it might be the hardest hitting A1 of any epic champ in all of Raid Shadow Legends, okay? It has a 4.1 modifier on an A1 that's basically guaranteed, okay, not guaranteed, but very, very likely that you could be able to apply one debuff to the enemy. It's basically a double hitter with the 4.1 attack modifier. That, for an A1, is absolutely insane. Here's the context. So while Fenax's A1 has a 4.1 modifier as a double hitter, you compare this to Slix's or Morag's A1 abilities, which are both double hitters as well. Very, very good, epic quality nukers. Their double hitters have only a 1.85 attack modifier. Fenax more than doubles their damage on his A1. Even Genbo's A1, and Genbo is probably the best epic arena nuker in the game, or he's definitely in the conversation at the least. Even his double hitter A1 is a 2 multiplier. Fenax's 4.1 is just unprecedented, right? And even though I am going to be starting off this list, I guess, focused more on the PvE nukers, Fenax is kind of an oddball because, again, I mean, he's fantastic into arena as well, you know, so he's not strictly a PvE nuker. In fact, he might even find more use in arena than he does in PvE, but there you go. We're going to open it with Fenax for that crazy, crazy A1. Next up, we, of course, have Royal Guard, who we're not going to spend very, very long on Royal Guard, to be honest. It's all about his A2. You've all seen Cold Heart's A3, you know, she attacks in single target and it deals damage based on enemy max HP, and it can hit for hundreds of thousands, you know, in against certain bosses and stuff like that. Royal Guard is a similar deal, except his A2 is an attack all enemies, and then the damage is based on enemy max HP. When it comes to a Hydra damage dealer, Royal Guard as an epic damage dealer is just ridiculous. Finds use in, honestly, a lot of Hydra teams, kind of varying as you go into the super late game, of course, but how is he only a 4.8 in Hydra, bro? It feels like if there's any epic champ in the game, that could be a 5, like a 5 out of 5 in Hydra. Royal Guard would be it, but there you go. There he is. He's an absolute Giga Chad and he hits like a truck. The first meme epic champ on the list can be found on the Knights Revenant faction. Do you know who it is? Have you spotted it? Well, before you do, make sure, if you're looking to start a new Raid Shadow Legends account, that you do so using my promo link down below, man, at the top of the video description box. Click on that link, sign up to Raid, you get a whole bunch of free starting supplies, and unlock a free copy of Rectotrath as soon as your account hits level 25. It's one of the best beginner promo links going, so go ahead and use that if you're looking to start a new free-to-play adventure, or you know a friend who wants to start playing Raid. Refer them to that link, man. It helps to support the channel a lot, so I really, really appreciate anybody who does decide to go ahead and do that. Alright, man, it's Franox, okay? This epic nuker, like, some people have actually built Franox out and say that she's great. They have, like, an amazing, amazing time using her. The reviews, what do the reviews look like? You know what? The reviews aren't actually terrible. That said, okay, let's just calm down for a second. Hellhades.com, Franox. Let me just look this up real quick. And there it is. Franox's ratings, okay, on Hellhades.com. Great into Shogun. She can actually smack into Fire Knight, apparently. I can't actually remember what in that kit would make her good against Fire Knight, but there you go. She actually smacks into Celestial Griffin. But, like, honestly, beyond that, she's not exactly the most versatile epic, okay? And by the time that you're starting to push into higher levels of Griffin or Eternal Dragon or whatever, you're probably just going to have better options. than Franox, you know? Okay, so on A1, it's an attack one enemy with a chance of placing strong version of decreased attack. Not bad. On the A2, attack one enemy, inflict 100% more damage. Okay, you can see where we're going with this. Against targets without any buffs. We'll come back to that. The A3 attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 75% chance bucked as stealing one random buff from the target. Okay, so I can see how that could be decent against Griffin, you know. Fair enough. Also places a block buffs debuff for 2 turns if the target has no buffs after this attack. Okay, yeah. Cool. It's all about the A2. This is the thing that utterly slaps. So this A2 has a 4.6 attack multiplier, okay? Which is quite solid. I mean, it's not amazing, it's not great, it's not terrible, I guess, for like an epic quality A2 nuker skill. Fair enough. But yeah, double damage makes it a 9.2 multiplier when it's hitting it against any targets that don't have any buffs, okay? It's basically a nuclear warhead in an A2. Hey man, my question to you is, have you ever maxed out Franox? How do you feel about her if you did? Did you get some use out of her in, you know, like consistently in certain areas of the game? Or did you just max her out for the memes? Let us know how it went down below, man. It's going to be a little bit of a hard ask. I'm not sure if anybody watching this video would have actually maxed out Franox, but it's worth asking all the same. Next up, Undead Horde's faction. We've got to talk about Husk, at least super briefly. Just like Royal Guard, he has an attack all enemies on his A2. This time he has a chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. And once again, the damage is based on enemy max HP, meaning he just absolutely smacks his damage dealer against Hydra. That's really it, man. That's Husk. And finally, for the PvE-based epic nukers, we gotta at least touch on Seer, who we have looked at on the channel before. Of course, all you're doing on Seer is bringing as many buffs to the table as you possibly can. She herself brings increased crit rate and a weaken debuff for enemies, so she brings a little bit of that action herself. You pair her up with as many allied buffers as you possibly can on your team, and she's the queen of just eviscerating basically all wave content in the game. I've seen certain videos on YouTube from Scratch and the like where they have a Seer critting for like 5 million, you know, and that's in like pretty high-end gear, of course, right? Pretty high-end gear, very stacked teams with 1 billion buffs. But yeah, Seer removes all buffs from all allies and enemies, then attacks all enemies, and the damage increases according to the number of removed buffs. And so yeah, she could just hit for millions, dude, with this A3. I don't know what to tell you about that Seer. While she's not great against bosses, I think her damage is actually somewhat capped or something against bosses on this A3, so it doesn't get too ridiculous. But she's also, of course, removing the buffs from your team, which in a longer fight like Hydra or something, you kind of want to hold on to those buffs, you know what I'm saying? So she's not great for stuff like that, but wave-based nuker, Seer has to make the list. Now, when it comes to PvP, we've got the epic arena nukers. We've got to touch on Magna. I don't think he's one of the... He hits very hard. I don't think he's in the, like, top 3 or whatever for, like, hardest hitting PvP, like, arena-style nukers. But he is unique in the fact that he's an HP-based nuker, right? So not only does he have a big, juicy double hitter on this A2, but he's also just very survivable indeed for a nuker, which can be a boon unto itself. And so I think he does deserve a place on this list. His A2, just to be clear, is an attack all enemies, places an extra hit on enemies without HP burn, which is great because HP burn isn't really a thing that you get to plan around in arena, at least not in your Magna comps, and so you can just run him as just a big double hitter, really, with the A2, and that's it. Now, it would be a damn crime if we didn't at least talk about Oboro. Whether or not he's one of the hardest hitting epics is almost irrelevant. Just the amount of utility that he brings as an arena nuker is just crazy enough that he does just deserve a mention. The A1, as we've already mentioned, is a double hitter. Each hit steals any increased attack buffs and also has a chance of stealing 1 random buff, so that's grand, you know. On the A2, actually, wait a minute, we should probably skip to the A3 first. Increased crit rate buff, increased crit damage buff for 3 turns, then give him that extra turn, and so he can buff himself up with all of this. You just build him with 70% crit rate, and that's fine, good to go. And then he has the attack all, of course, on the A2, with a 100% chance bucked of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. This effect cannot be resisted on crits, which, yeah, he's going to have 100% crit, of course. So just a really, really excellent S-tier epic arena nuker. Now back to the super hard hitters. Dude, this is a champ that I've actually got and I'm ready to start building out, but she's quite low on the list, I guess, just because I'm really focusing on trying to just build up some Hydra champs and Doom Tower champs and stuff first and foremost, but it is Alika. Now, Alika brings a crazy amount of utility on her A3. She has an attack all enemies, 100% chance book. She takes a lot of books. She really likes to read, man. She's a bit of a librarian, but you can get it down to a 3-turn cooldown, 100% chance of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 2 turns. This is obviously fantastic. Go first in arena, land this. Job's a good one, right? But the hardest hitting skill actually comes in the form of her A2, right? As an attack 1 enemy will ignore 50% of the target's defense if their max HP is higher than this champion's max HP. I mean, she's a nuker. She's probably not going to have the most HP on the team just by default. And so, yeah, most of the time you're going to be ignoring half of the target's defense. What's more is that this A3 is looking at a 6.3 attack multiplier, which is way up on the scale in compared to other single target hitters for epic nukers. So insane damage from a skill that's ignoring 50% of target's defense. Yeah, really good stuff. And it doesn't stop there, man. Even the A1, it's an attack 1 enemy with a 30% chance of placing an extra hit. This hit is always critical. And even the multiplier on this A1 is really solid at a 4.1, right? Just for comparison, a 4.1 multiplier on Alika's A1 attack, very solid, given that it has a chance to place an extra hit. Rathalos's A1, okay, legendary quality damage dealer, of course, only has a 3.1 multiplier on his A1. Now, of course, he deals more damage to HP burn targets, and he has like a decreased defense on his A1 as well. So he's got other things going on, but just for comparison, very solid A1, given it has a chance to double hit. Still not quite up there or quite as good as Phoenix's in my book, just a little bit less reliable to get that double hit, of course, but still very noteworthy indeed. Alika is a good one, and I'm pretty excited to build her out, man, and see what we can get done with her. And now, to be honest, we're in like the rapid fire honorable mention territory, because frankly, I'm not going to get to cover all of them, so if you feel like I miss any sweet epic nukers in this video, then make sure to go ahead and drop them down below in a comment. But honorable mention number 1 has got to be Durandal. He's got a very good attack modifier on the A3. Not quite Alika territory, but it is an attack 1 enemy. Will ignore 50% of the target's defense, just like Alika, but it's a 5.8 damage modifier. Still very good indeed. Just not quite a 6.3, but he does also get to place a perfect veil buff on himself as well. So that's also very nice. And also he's got 15% ignore defense on an attack all on his A2. So yeah, Durandal, pretty survivable as far as nukers go. Lots and lots of damage. Yeah, definitely worth building out if the need requires. Couple of honorable mentions for the dwarfs as well. Morag is just great. Big counter-attacking. Is she actually counter-attack? I think that she's like a big counter-attacking gal. Yeah, strength buffs, all of that kind of stuff. Some ally attack action. Very good indeed. Not the highest damage nuker herself, but brings a lot to the table. Gala is another one worth commenting on too, and doesn't she have the loveliest braids? Yeah, Gala's amazing. Put her in a shield set, kind of arena squad, and yeah, just let the damage fly, really. The A3 is an attack 1 enemy 3 times, each hit ignoring 25% of the target's defense, then grant an extra turn if Gala has full HP after using this skill, which, yeah, you put her in the shield set, you know, just try and keep her full health before you swing in with this A3, get her on a good, maybe go first arena team. That can be awesome. So you swing in, you get the extra 10, and then you hit with the A2, which is an attack 1 enemy. Ignore half of the target's defense when attacking under a shield buff, which is why the shield set is quite good. And then also heal this champ by the damage inflicted, and place a shield buff on this champ equal to any surplus healing for 3 turns. So a little bit of a gimmicky nuker, to be honest, but she can do a hell of a job. Next up, we've got Whisper, just the extra 10 queen. I'm not going to go too in depth on her because, I mean, frankly, I've covered Whisper in a couple of videos at this point, but yeah, you pull a Whisper, you build a Whisper. That's really all there is to it. She's an extra 10 machine. Much damage as possible. Get her in a relentless set if you can, and you'll be proccing extra turns from your extra turns. That's all there really is to it with Whisper, man. Next up for the Sylvan Watchers, we have Pan, who is also worth an honorable mention. He does have a couple of, a double hit at that places freeze on his A1, so you can help to unlock hard mode Fire Knight for you on your account if you need him for that purpose. He's quite a new champ, as you can well see, and so his ratings aren't really all that. But to be honest, he's quite a hard hitter, man. He has a, I think, 1.9 attack modifier on his triple hitter A3, and he's also ignoring 10% of the target's defense which ain't nothing. It also brings all kinds of debuffs as well, depending what you're attacking into, but a 1.9 modifier, that's ignoring 10% defense, so it's a 5.7 modifier in total. Really not bad. He can actually smack. And what's more, it's not just single target either. He does also bring a little bit of wave clear potential for you as well, with an attack all on his A2. And he also does bring a self buff for increased attack and increased speed, which is always welcome on your nukers as well. So I think that pan is worth a quick mention. An absolute meme that we have almost forgot to cover is of course going to be Faceless, which again, this is another one of those champs. Dude, if you're out there, you're watching this video, man, if you built Faceless, how did it go? I have to know these things, man. I'm obsessed with like meme champs and meme builds and stuff like that. I mean, Christ, I maxed out my King Gorag. You know what I'm saying? You can tell what kind of guy I am when it comes to, you know, exploring games like this and just trying out stupid stuff. Yeah, the A3 on Faceless attacks one enemy, will ignore shield and block damage buffs, as well as defense. All defense, 100% defense penetration. This A3 only has, I think, like a 3 attack multiplier, right? So it's not amazing. It's not like blowing anything out of the water. You know, Alika has double that on a A2, but 100% defense ignorance? That's kind of insane, man. So again, Faceless's problem is that he only does one thing, and that's just hit things with his A3 quite hard. Even Franox, who's a bit of a meme epic single target nuker as well, even she has like some like buff steal and stuff like that, you know. She does a few other things here and there, but really, I mean, it's a slightly increased crit rate, I guess, on Faceless on his A2. He has a chance of placing an extra hit on the A1, which, I mean, fine, you know, but really, it's funny, right? Because he's a very useless, mega hard-hitting epic, is the way I'm gonna put it, man. He's one of the hardest-hitting, most useless champs that I've seen in a while. Let me know if I'm wrong. And so there's a few that I haven't covered, man. I've even seen some people build Thalesia in full nuker set. I have in kind of like a hybrid set on my account where she's like half Slayer gear and then like half just perception and stuff. So she kind of fulfills the role of like a backup nuker and a bit of a debuffer as well. I quite like me a little bit of Thalesia. I haven't covered Oboro either. Oboro's another really good epic in the Shadowkin faction. There's a lot that I have missed, but these are some of the more interesting ones. I'm gonna leave it there. If you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and use promo code GameLoop to get your hands on 10 free experience brews, a free energy refill, and 100,000 silver, man. Why would you not? And if you already use code GameLeap, share it out with your clanmates, man. The events are coming so thick and fast recently that everybody could use a free energy refill. So there you do go, man. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy this one, and I'm going to catch all of y'all just a tad bit later, man.